So this past Sunday, we started a new series in which we're exploring what the Bible calls the fruit of the Spirit. And the reason why we're looking at these fruit or these descriptions of what the Spirit produces in our life is because there are several occasions in Scripture where Jesus expresses concern with the product of a person's life or what is produced from a person's life. John 15, the first 7 verses, he talks about how he is the vine and we are the branches, and branches that don't bear fruit he's going to take away. In Matthew 7 and 17 through 19, in fact, verse 19 itself says, every tree that doesn't produce good fruit is going to be chopped down and thrown into the fire. And so Jesus makes it very clear that the product or the produce, the things that are produced in a person's life and from a person's life, are very important to him, even so much so that it merits punishment if it's not the proper things. And so because Jesus took the time to emphasize that these characteristics need to be present in the character of an individual, then I think it's important that we take the time to take a look at those things. One of the interesting points that we discussed this Sunday was the fact that when Jesus uttered these words, when he talked about a life producing good and bad fruit, at that particular point, Galatians 5 hadn't been written yet. They didn't have that list to say love, joy, peace, and long-suffering, and so forth. But there was just a call for people to be aware of their influence and the impact that they're having on the lives of those around them. And so in our attempt to pick up the words of Christ and to apply it to our lives and to make sure that we're producing good fruit, one of the questions that has to come out of that is what kind of fruit is good fruit? What necessitates good, or what dictates, or what tells us what good fruit looks like? And so thankfully, we have Galatians 5 that we can look to. And he says, I gave you my Spirit, and I sent it to live within you, and this is what it means to produce good fruit. These are the things that I consider good fruit. And that's where we get that list in Galatians 5, starting at verse 22, where it starts with love and joy and peace and so on. So when we look at the fruit of the Spirit, as we begin to explore this, we understand that when the Spirit of God is active in our life, there are some things that are manifested in us. There are some qualities, characteristics, traits, if you will, that come out of us when the Spirit's active in our lives. And not only does that successfully bring the presence of God and kind of allow who He is to be displayed in this earth and the kind of qualities that He possesses to be manifested in us, Jesus calls out to love your enemies, to do good to them. And so love then is present, or we know that love is present because of the actions that a person takes. And that becomes then how love is displayed. Laying down your life, doing good. It says, for this is the love of God in 1 John 5:3, that we keep His commandments. And so Jesus concluded, He said, by all this shall everybody know that you're my disciples, and that you have love one for another. 1 Corinthians takes it so far as to give us somewhat of a list of qualities of love. And it says that love is patient and kind. It's not jealous, boastful, not irritable, and so on and so forth. And it gives us some of this, a good rounded idea of maybe what the qualities of love are. And then it goes so far as to say, listen, and of all the things that you do, Paul makes it very clear that if you don't have love, no matter what other kinds of things that you accomplish, and no matter what other ways that you work for the Lord, you quote-unquote work for the Lord, if you don't have love, it's of little profit. It doesn't do much. You need to have that charity. You need to have that love. So part of the way that we measure that then is we can look then and we can know that God values these fruit, because He said that, He sends His Spirit as the example and as to lead us. And He says, when this is active in your life, these are the things that I want to be produced. And He gives us that example. And so what we get to do then is we get to look into the lives of those around us. And as they interact with us on a daily basis, we can say, what am I producing in them? What are the things that are manifested in them as they interact with me? And one of those things needs to be love. So in order for us to measure that, though, I think we need to take the time and we need to explore, what is love? What does love look like? Not just what does love look like in my family or with my spouse or with my children or with my friends, but it has to be a definition, and it has to be explained in a manner that we can lay it against the scripture that says love your enemies. And so what does love look like when you are loving your enemies? And once we define that, now we have to ask ourselves the other question that says, okay, well, how do I produce that then in the life of somebody else? And so what we're doing is we're calling ourselves to attention, trying to meet the requirements, trying to meet the call that Jesus laid out when he walked on this earth. He said, I want you to produce good fruit, not bad fruit. And so we need to identify what a good fruit is. We need to identify what that good fruit looks like, and then say, okay, now what can I do to make sure that I'm producing that in my life? So in this coming week, let your prayers be not only that the Spirit can have active course in your life, that the Spirit might produce it from you, but that also as you interact in the lives of others, that you might produce love in them, that the fruit of the Spirit manifests through you, and that the fruit of you be manifest through the lives of others. God bless you, and have a blessed week.